Braden went from being poor to being rich, and he's a big hitter in the real estate world. Man, am I excited to talk to Braden Greer, not only because of the fact that he went from being poor to being rich. By the way, I'm halfway kidding. He'll tell his story, but it's a very, very unique story, and it's going to be a fun one to listen to. We're going to have, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 minutes chatting about his story, how he's gone now from being, from starting as basically a pastor to now being a big hitter in the real estate world. He's with a real estate brokerage, I think is rocking it, but partly because of his efforts. Braden Greer, thanks for being here, buddy.
Oh, thanks, Kenner. I appreciate you, man. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Let's start out just by saying, first of all, was I right in typifying that you went from being poor to being a big hitter?
I mean, it depends. Are you talking material here or in otherwise? So yes and no, right? I mean, it's accurate to say. So I was actually a scientist first, cancer researcher, and then I was a pastor. I biomedical engineering background. So, 7 years of school just to go out and make about 25 grand a year in the DC area. So that was not really advantageous materially. And then pastoring, neither science or pastoring. You don't go in either of those two careers to make money. That's for sure. And so, it was tight. I mean, it was pinching every penny here, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, it would be very accurate to say we have a lot more now than we did then. Absolutely.
Wait a minute, back up. I didn't know you were a scientist because I'm a scientist at heart. So wait a minute. So how did you go from a scientist to a pastor to now a real estate agent and quasi-developer, or at least somewhere like that? I don't get that.
Yeah, so I always wanted to be an inventor. I always wanted to be an engineer growing up. And you know what I realized, I've been realizing this lately, somebody should have said, Braden, you're a people person. You are not supposed to be a scientist, because I didn't find that out until I'm like all the way into it. Several years in, I realized these people like to stay in the lab until 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, and they enjoy that. And I'm just not wired that way. So I always wanted to do that. So I had biomedical engineering at Syracuse and then UVA, graduated of the master's, was going to get a PhD, decided not to, because I felt that urge for pastoring, actually. And so that's why I got my master's instead of my PhD. So graduated from UVA, looking for a job, found work with a guy in a cancer lab at National Cancer Institute, where I was analyzing genetic data, actually using artificial neural networks before it was cool, many years ago, and programming those to try to analyze the data. And I enjoyed aspects of that, but it's such a solo thing. So along that whole time, I was thinking about the pastoring gig and talking to my pastor at the church I was at there. Eventually, 4 or 5 years later, go to school, become a pastor, did that for 12 years. Hard days, difficult days. And a lot more to that story that I'm happy to share. But fire back any other questions if I'm getting off track here.
Now I get it. So I didn't know you were such a smart dude. UVA. I get it. That makes a lot of sense. So how did you, I mean, when I met you, you were just kind of making that transition, I would say, from kind of being a pastor to, a real estate agent, and even more now. So what would you say is let's just jump to it. What made you so successful now in your new world in real estate? Let's just jump right to that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I am grateful for God's mercy on that. So that's a big part of it, right? But there's obviously actions that you can drill down to and mindsets that you can drill down to that are recipes for success, because the world works with both good and negative consequences, right? So it's 2017, and I'm here in Columbia, South Carolina. I've got a master's in biomedical engineering. Nobody cares that I published in PubMed. Nobody cares about any of that. I was thinking medical device sales. I've got no sales experience at all. I'm 47 years old. I'm 40 years old at the time. Defeated, discouraged, the whole bit. Try to network my way in and realize no one's going to hire me. So I've got to hire myself. My brother and my dad are real estate agents. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I get my license kind of as a backdoor opportunity or secondhand opportunity, thinking, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I can do this. I have no idea. But it was actually eXp Realty that gave me the kind of the wind in my sails to realize, you know what, there's an opportunity here to absolutely crush it. And that the right business model actually, really awoken in me the desire to do real estate. And so if not for that intersection between me and eXp Realty, I'm not sure I would have even been in real estate now. So that's
Hmm.
2017. It's sink or swim. My wife doesn't work. We have 4 kids. We got a mortgage. She teaches them at home. I did not want to lose my house, but I had no job and I had no income. So I do think, a lot of it comes out of that fire of just having to do it. Like if I don't do it, it will not be done. And it's 100% commission. So it won't be done. So there's that. I think that's the circumstances that drove me to, do 8, 10, 12 hours of open houses on the weekends, when I was brand new and didn't have any listings. So I just sit on somebody else's open houses. Right. So that was kind of how I cut my teeth. Then I worked for a builder for a little while, national builder for about 5 months, and came right back to EXP Realty. So there's that, and I think that the mindset of just service is really how I believe and how I teach others. I've got written down in my book, business as ministry, as a shorthand for me. Just every day, how can I serve my neighbor? How can I help them? How can I serve them? This is huge. This is so important to them. How can I come alongside them, give them the advice they need, give them the consultation? And as a result, people don't even question whether or not to work with you. If you're just that person who's just there to lift them up, to help them achieve their goals in real estate, why would they go anywhere else? And I don't. That's not a tactic. I believe that, deep down, that's the way, I do it. So the other way to separate yourself is in this business is really simple. It's just do what you say you'll do. I mean, it's so easy. Like I literally, if I say I'm going to do something, I write it down in my book. It's right here, and then I do it. Right. And if I can't do it in the time I said I would do it, I let somebody know, hey, is it all right if I get you this tomorrow morning? I've had a crazy day. I'm so sorry. And I don't make that a practice. But if you give yourself a deadline and you've told someone else, follow up and get it done. And if you do that in real estate, nobody else, I mean, not nobody else, very few people do that on a consistent basis. So,
Yeah, you're right. Here,
um,
tell her. So really, two things. It sounds like one. Well, you're a good guy, but really serve others. Number
mhm.
one, and then two, do what you're telling people you're going to do. Those are the two things that really have propelled you to have the career that you've had thus far.
Yeah. And I do think that service mindset, what that does is it takes away all the anxiety. Because if I'm here to serve other people, then I don't care if they reject me or accept me, because that isn't the point of the game, right? The point is, how can I help them? How can I serve them? So then I'm going to call them up again and again and again for years and say, hey, it's me again. I'm happy to help. Whenever you're ready, I'm here for you. If you need anything, just let me know. And so I'm not calling to take something or get something from them or sell them on something. I'm calling to serve them. And then the nerves are gone, and they know it and they feel the difference. And so I think when you build your business on great service, was it Zig Ziglar said, "Help everybody else get what they want, and you'll get what you want." That kind of thing. I don't even know the quote, but it still sounds a little self-serving to me. But I get it. It is true that if you just serve and help other people. Gary Gold, I was at a conference that he spoke at. He said, "Become their realtor before they need a realtor." You are their realtor before they need a realtor, and that's by just loving and serving, being an expert, their expert until they actually need you. And I think that's great advice coming from a
Hmm.
guy who sold the Playboy Mansion, by the way.
I thought you meant you. I get
No,
you.
no, Gary Gold.
Yeah, I got you. But how did you get in front of? Is it because I'm going to ask this? I think I
Yeah,
might know the answer. Did you get in front of people? Because that's a key, right?
yeah.
Because you're a pastor, or did you start really with nothing? I mean, no marketplace.
Yeah, so when I came down here, I started a church and we got up to about 20, 30 people. And it was not taking root. It was a lot of people that were not able to be there, or sick or difficult. So we weren't really able to build and hit the ground running. It was taking its toll on me and my family as well. So all that to
Mm-hmm.
say is that connection, that pastoral sphere I had here was really small. I mean, it was really small. So I didn't have that much here. I do think um, genuinely loving people service. So yes, I think open houses were huge. One year I
Okay.
made in 19 or 2019, I think it was. I made 6 figures, which was at that year 1/3 of my income by people I met at open houses.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I do think I don't make any cold calls. I don't like cold calls. I don't do a whole lot with internet leads, a little bit. But if I can get on the phone with someone that there's a little bit of trust factor, or get in front of them at an open house or other places, or hey, why don't I stop by? And they know once they sit down, and this is not me, they just know I'm not out to get them, and they know I'm out to serve them and help them. And if they have a question, I just answer it frankly and honestly. And so at that point, I think when you're around somebody that treats you that way, why would you go anywhere else? You got a guy that you trust that sells you a car at a car place. You never want to go anywhere else because you don't trust 99% of the other guys that sell your car. And so similar
Mhm.
with real estate is we're a really non low trust profession. And so, yes, getting in front of them with open houses, meetings, social media certainly helps because they see you, they feel like they know you already. And so, all of those things. Yes, I do realize that I need to get in contact with people in order to earn their trust.
I understand. By the way, there are in our database we have over 12,000 people, so a lot of people would be seeing this. At least 2,000 agents. Now, you mentioned EXP. We deal with any brokerage, by the way. Are you trying to build a team at EXP? Because I know they're kind of known for building out teams.
Yeah, and there's different ways to build out a team. I've got a team of local agents here in town that can just kind of help with the workload or just work with me to help build their business. And most of them
Mhm.
are somewhat newer. A couple of them are established, but several of them are newer as well. So there's that local, like the team there, and then there's the broader team with EXP that really can be national and international. And that's a more loose fitted organization basically on your connection and bringing them to EXP. And absolutely, that is one of the business model aspects of EXP. That's just really like when you see it, you just can't unsee it. It's like mind blowing. And
Mm.
and I'm doing some coaching with a guy named Brent Gove this year, some intensive sort of coaching along those lines. Going to Cabo soon. I'm not a big like yacht kind of guy, but we're going to go on a yacht and we're going to do a mastermind, which is a cool experience, in Cabo. So that kind of thing is really one of the profound aspects of the EXP's business model that's so invigorating. If you don't have the right business model that invigorates you, you're not going to get after it. And that's why I said EXP is even the reason why I'm doing real estate, and that's not hyperbole. That's the God's honest truth, and it keeps me in the game. It keeps me excited.
Yeah, you mentioned your model. By the way, if one wants to get a hold of you either as an investor or to buy a house or as a agent, how does one get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, you can extramileforyou.com, all spelled out. Braden at Extra Mile for You, and then 803-603-9540. Social media, all that good stuff. Columbia is a great spot to invest to, by the way. I've got a lot of people, build to rent guys buying whole neighborhoods, as well as one-off investors buying one, two, three properties, Airbnbs. There's just a lot of great opportunities for investment, and I've done it tons of times, so I can kind of help you through the pitfalls.
Awesome. Can you go over those websites again, the phone number, etc.?
Yeah. Extramileforyou.com is my website.
And
Braden,
four is it
nope, FOR, all spelled out. Extramileforyou.com. And then Braden at extramileforyou is my email.com. And then 803-603-9540 is my personal cell. So feel free to call and text.
and it's Braden, Braden, correct?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. So you mentioned a business model is very important. Can you explain, or do you
Yeah.
care to explain a little bit about your business model, a little bit more detail?
Yeah. So business model, and some of these things, I've adapted from EXP because I like the synergy between the business model of EXP and then our business model. So one of the things that EXP, it's one of their core principles, and I believe it. Actually, I've seen it played out is agile. I absolutely, one of the some people love bureaucracy, and I hate it. Right? I just can't stand bureaucracy, and there's the good parts of bureaucracy. I get it. There's compliance and other things. But if something's broke, fix it, right? If something is broken, I think that's the engineer in me, I guess. But so Glenn Sanford, the founder, he if something comes up and it keeps being a pain point, he'll just do a short video and tell people, hey, we're going to change this, and here it is. And it's not this big to do; it's just fix it, right? And I think it's the same thing, being agile and being small on our team is that we can be small. We are small, right? 5 agents, 6 agents here in town, and
Mhm.
we can just adapt and move and do what we need to do for our clients, and not being heavily structured getting things done, maybe taking care of everything, but not being heavily structured, because real estate is, there's so much pivoting in real estate. So many things come at you. I had one recently closing, and I'm telling you, it was the gift that kept on giving all the way up. An hour before closing, the HOA stuff wasn't in the closing statement, so we had to get that taken care of. And so it's, you have to do that now. The To serve as well is the big thing. And I do this training called the Soul of Real Estate. And basically, I talk about the way that all the times that the situations that people are in when they're buying or selling homes are the same situations that I faced and helped people through when I was a pastor. Death, divorce, downsizing, upsizing, kids going off to college, job changes, military, all these things. They're difficult times in people's lives. And the way that you handle yourself and the clients and the business during that difficult time can have a massive impact on them, for good or for ill. So I want agents to feel the weight of what's happening. And it's not just a paycheck, but it's not just a transaction. There's so much more going on in their life right now that they may or may not tell you about, that is so stressful that it feels like, wow, why is this transaction so stressful? Because they're going through something else. And you may or may not have any idea about that. And so if you love them and serve them and handle this well, you can have a massive impact on your community, for good or for ill. And so that's a big part of how I think about real estate and how I want my agents to feel about it.
That's your model. Well, you mentioned some difficult things, death as an example. Hopefully we're not going to go that morbid, but what are some challenges that you've seen as an agent or as an entrepreneur, and how have you been able to overcome them? Because this is we're in a tough time right now. So I think it's pretty prudent question right now.
Yeah, it is a tough time with sales being down. And I think one of the things I was thinking about this the other day, two things I guess come to mind real quick. One, people talk about this is the lowest transactions, I think, in 13 years or something like that, for example. And I am grateful because my first quarter it's bonkers. It's phenomenal.
Really? Are you killing it? Nice.
Oh my goodness. My first quarter is going to be about as good as 2022, which was that record-breaking year. So when everybody, was it 21 or 22? When everybody went crazy. I don't know. It's a phenomenal year. So all that to say is I don't know. I just don't pay attention to the tea leaves. And I think that serves me. I don't really watch the news. I look at the rates, that kind of thing, but none of that deters me, because there's so much opportunity in up times and in down times. And right, you just have to pivot and find out where that opportunity is. So there's high interest rates. Yes, but figure it out, get it done, get in front of the people that want to do business right now. So for example, large investors are divesting themselves of some of their portfolios right now. And so that's an opportunity if you can get in front of those people and show them that you can take care of them and do a great job, just absolutely crush it. But you've got to figure out how they think and what information they want. It's different than your one-off buyer or seller. They have different motivations. They have different inclinations. They need different information. And so figure out and be who they need to be, and then become indispensable with them. And then they're not going to go anywhere else. Why would they? If you're doing a great job for them and you're getting the information in a timely manner, why would they go anywhere else? So yes, there's low, but just don't even pay attention to that. Don't even pay attention to the low sales, except if it fuels you to double down. Because if there's fewer sales and you want to maintain a certain level of income, then you need to do 3 times the amount of work. I don't know, 5 times the amount of work. You just have to 10x it, right? Like Grant Cardone says. Yeah. So those would be some thoughts I have, is just don't pay attention to the negative. Because I think some people sit on the sidelines. They did it at COVID. Some agents, I couldn't believe it. Some really good agents that had like almost no business that year. And I'm thinking, this is the best year ever. Don't sit on the sidelines ever. Don't ever sit on the sidelines.
Right now, if that's control what you can control. That's the way I look at it. I mean, if you can't control it, don't worry about it. You just move forward and control the stuff you can control. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Since we only have a couple more minutes, so what's one thing that we've forgotten about that can help an entrepreneur? Because obviously, coming from you, because you've made huge, you've blown up, obviously. So I think a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of real estate agents out there should listen to your story. So what's one thing that we have not talked about that you think needs to be talked about to an entrepreneur or a real estate agent that's out there to help them?
Yeah. I think a few things. You said one thing. They're all kind of the same, and it's basically stick to it, right? I was thinking about this the other day. I did a little video. I didn't even post it anywhere. back before I started real estate, but after I was done pastoring, that was a very discouraging, dark, difficult time for us. And a lot of things were, born out of that, but that were good eventually. I did like a Mike Rowe, is that his name? Dirty
Oh yeah.
Jobs, whatever. I was power washing the vats of grease that came from the grocery store. They would, fry it was nasty, nasty job. There's oil all over me. I'm making like, I don't know, $12 an hour or something. And I'm power washing. And it was so loud, my ears started ringing, but I found out too late. And so every morning when I'm sitting right over here and I'm reading and praying and planning my day, there's ringing in my ears. And so that was a discouraging moment. That was a low moment. And every entrepreneur has those low moments. Every single one. I read this book years ago and they said the only commonality between, well, not the only, but a big commonality between every successful entrepreneur is that they never give up. They never give up. And they went through Musk and they went through Spanx and they went through all these other ones. I can't remember. And they said all the failures before they succeeded. And that was the thing that struck me, is that you're just going to fail until you succeed. And so keep after it, get after it, and work so hard that in 3 years' time, as a real estate agent, you've called, you've stayed in touch, you've loved people, you serve people. Your business will blow up so much that in 3 years' time, if you continue to fill that pipeline, there is no way you'll be able to handle all that business if you continue on that way. But you've got to do it every day. You've got to move the ball forward every single day. Don't spend time working on your website and all that other stuff. Just go after there and get in front of people and get business. At least everybody's a little different, but that's kind of my thing.
I like it, man. I could take days and days and days talking to you. Sadly, we're coming to a close. Wow. Once again, how does someone get a hold of you?
Yeah, extramileforyou.com, all spelled out. Braden, Braden, at extramileforyou.com. And then my cell number is 803-603-9540.
You're the man. This is Kenneth French from vastsolutionsgroup.com. I could take all day talking to Braden. Maybe we're going to have him on. No, Braden, we're going to have you.
Well, let me say.
We're going to have you on another one if that's okay.
Okay, great. Well, I'm a client of Vast Solutions, by the way, and I would recommend it highly. So Kenner didn't ask me to say this, but they have been phenomenal at helping me, saving me tons of money on taxes and other things. So definitely hit them up.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Once again, this is Kenneth French from vastsolutionsgroup.com signing off. I appreciate it, Braden, and all the listeners and watchers out there. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kenner.
Dude, nice work. Yeah,